Hi guys, Gary here, G-Chats Poker, bringing you a Play and Explain video today. 2 tables of Russian Cash 200 on GG, and just going to be keeping it quite simple, talking through my decision making process, and we'll discuss any deviations I'm making against certain players. But ultimately just trying to play somewhat solid and not get too out of line. For the purpose of this video, just want to hopefully give you guys watching, likely to be guys looking to progress through the low stakes, hopefully giving you some valuable information about certain ways of approaching the game, thinking through hands. Queen Jack off here can do all sorts of different things on this board. I just like to simplify and range bet in a lot of spots just because of a strategy that works well. And I know exactly what I'm doing with my range on turns and rivers. Turn here I think our hand makes a very reasonable check. I have an RNG off screen I'm going to use when I feel it's necessary, but certainly not my first thing I go to when making a decision. Easy call with Queen Jack. Yeah, nice combo to bluff from opponent. I'm going to be folding some 8x pocket pairs. I think those bottom pairs are often bluffed. Yeah, I think too many people are reliant on an RNG and too robotic in their play, and not actually engaging their poker brain enough. And I actually did a podcast with Sifiasco, pkrELMO on YouTube, where we talked about kind of how low stakes players can look to improve and progress. So if you haven't checked it out, then definitely check that one out. There's quite a bit of useful information, advice for you guys looking to get out of low stakes and progress up through the limits, on how you can approach the game, both in terms of your study and your actual strategy. So yeah, check that one out. I will link it in the description of this video. But it's definitely some useful information for you guys. Table 1, I'm going to go half pot of check on this board. I think this one can check. Just going to favour my stronger ace-x and then ones with a backdoor flush draw. Turn, again, we can go either way. I'm just going to prefer betting against this player, I think. Just a lot of bad runouts and plenty of like pair plus straight draw combos that I can get value from. And that player is probably not going to turn enough of them into a bluff and put me in a really tough spot. They're just probably going to check call them. Whereas against a reg there, I'm probably going to check a hand class like that again. For 2 reasons. First, they're going to be more aggressive and punish my capped range. But also I'm going to want some strong hands on the river so I can make sure I can't be exploited by them betting too much, bluffing me too much in various lines. 10-8, check this one back again. This can go either way. Definitely raising the turn here with all of this equity. Again, probably just prefer betting this on the flop, to be honest, just with a backdoor flush draw. Like check some like weak to medium 10x of hearts, for example. And river, we have an easy check back on that river. Nice. Table 1, I'm just going to range bet for small here against this player. Again, just keeping things simple. The other thing about simple strategies is when you're playing like a lot of hands, like 4 tables of Russian cash, for example, and long hours, like quite a few hours in a day, like just preserving mental energy and simplifying things is going to be quite important. Easy call with ace deuce, I think. Just a plethora of random overcards and floats this player's going to have on the flop. Wow. It's a pretty clear value bet with king 10 there. King 3 off, I'm going to open with 2 tightish looking players in the blinds. I just open min in all positions and then 2.5 in small blind, which is smaller than what you would deem optimal if you look at pre-flop solver ranges. Just because like these games, a lot of the players are like tight semi-reg fish type players, so they do a lot of, they overfold pre, so therefore I'm going to want to open a wider range. So that's reason one. Ace 10 is going to call against this player for a small 3-bet size and check fold that flop. There is some 4-betting going on with this hand. And also, like, because of the vast amount of recreationals in the pool as well, like a lot of the time you go multi-way post-flop. So as soon as you go multi-way, a lot of the hands become 0 or minus EV, just because your pot shares less. So therefore, I want to put less money in the pot pre-flop. There are times I'll exploit size up against, you know, the big recreationals when they come along. If I've got a strong hand on the button, for example, and there's a big recreational big blind, I will open bigger because they're just not going to be able to exploit me and they're not really switched on to what I'm doing there. King Jack easy call. I think we just check this one down and bluff like our Jack 10 over this one. Yeah, I don't think I want to. I think bluffing this one's going to be fine, but I don't think this player's going to really think about the spot properly. And they're just probably going to see like them having a hand like Queen Jack and click call. Whereas against a reg, I think bluffing there is going to make more sense. That is just a pretty clear value bet of A7 for them. I'm blocking like Queen X, I'm blocking King Highs. They just want to value bet that one, I think. You could argue that they unblock bluffs from like Jack 10 and hands like that, but it's only really Jack 10. I think King 10 and King Jack are just going to show down. So it's only really Jack 10 they get, and even though I have 16 combos, they probably just want to value bet that because they can get called by so many worse hands, Queen X, pocket pairs. King 9, easy call against his check raise. Again, this is a board where I can do a lot of things. But I just like to simplify as much as possible in a lot of spots, then I know exactly what I'm doing with my range. When check 2, I'm just going to go small. And river. Don't think I like bluffing on that card. Opponents just going to get too sticky with a queen. I do beat 9-10. Losing to like ace 10 here is going to suck, but I think they're just going to call like any queen, so I'm just going to give this one up. Yeah, they're calling with that hand as well, probably, to be honest. This player type, like check raising with that, just kind of shows what type of player they are, so I don't think I've got much fold equity on that river. And with a value hand there, I would go pretty big on the river for that same reason, because I think they're just going to call any queen, any jack. But the check raise into check line from those recreationals is going to be weak, so I get a decent amount of fold equity on the turn there. From, you know, potential random stuff they check raise with. Jack 8, easy call. Could develop leads here, but I don't think I do on this board. Like like I say could develop these because the small line is potentially a recreational. I don't recognise them 32V pipping. Playing 32, 24, 10. Okay, it's kind of reggish. Facing this pot bet, I think I'm just going to click call. Going to open Queen 4 suited with a possible recreation on the big blind. I am raising now. I want to get more money in against their sets. My bluffs here are going to come from like Queen Jack with a club. I think I'm just going to go like this size. They're going to have there's going to be value heavy here when they go pot here 3-way on the flop. So I wouldn't expect them to have that many hands to fold there on the turn. Perhaps they were merging too much with like ace queen. They might have made a big fold with ace king there. It's unlikely. So I think against that player they're going to go, basically if they have a hand that is folding against a check raise, like ace queen for example, then they're just going to check back the river anyway, so I don't lose out on value. So it's going to go bet check. Whereas if they have a hand that's going to bet the river, like 2-pair plus, they're calling the turn check raise anyway. So I just want to put more money in against those hands, like the sets 2-pair, before like a club comes on the river and kills my action. Out of position. In position we're just going to do more flatting there, but out of position we'd have to start developing leads and becomes a bit of an awkward spot. So just gonna prefer to check raise the turn there, and like I said, I'll just have Queen Jack off there with the Queen of Clubs as my main bluff, I think. This shouldn't really be a range bet board, so I'm going to raise pretty aggressively here. Too many players are just kind of range betting boards that shouldn't really be a thing. I like having the 8. Like this hand as well benefits from raising, because I can fold out like some stronger ace-x. I can fold out hands with decent equity like king 10, jack 10. 9s I flatted here just with, like, it's just going to be a mixed hand. Normally I'm playing 3-bet fold button against cutoff, just because otherwise you incentivise the blinds to squeeze or overcall. But here with 2 maybe weaker players, unsure, I think it's going to be fine to flat this, and I think check again here. My hand's probably worth 1 street of value. Table 2, giving up once they call the flop. Interesting river, but I think I'm just gonna check. I think give this one up. I think a lot of my value comes from the flop raise. Facing overbet here, table 1. Gonna fold this, and I'm just gonna call like board pairs that block more value and unblock more bluffs against overbet. Yeah, this is just gonna be like too much nonsense on the flop, like just betting a hand that they feel wants to bet. There's just gonna be no balance. Like that should just be a range check board. Now they can probably get away with it against large chunks of this pool, but against like some of the better regs, which I believe I am one of those, without sounding too arrogant, but I don't think there's many people who are beating the games as much as I am. Then they want to be playing like more of a proper strategy, I guess, more of a theory-based strategy, if you like. Ace Queen 3-way. This feels just quite mergy, so I'm going to raise. Recreational here. I'm going to check this one back. Queen Jack. Now start putting some money in. It's going to be too much like weak pairs here, pair and straight draw stuff that I can fold by the river when they just bet small. Recreationals just kind of tell us what they've got too much of their bet sizing, timing tells, things like that. Queen Jack easy call against the raise, lovely river. If checked, I will shove, because I don't think opponent's going to fold a flush. And the stats what ratio is pretty low. Yeah, just raise all in. Nothing to be said. Yeah, opponent probably wants to either check that river or block fold. If they block, I can still call with flushes. 10-9, going to start small. This is close to a range c-bet board, I think. Pretty disconnected. On the ace, we're just going to be giving this one up. Could have gone a little bit bigger with ace king here, one made a bit deeper, 150 bigs. I think I will bluff 10-9, just unblocking king highs. Yeah, I just wouldn't expect the opponent to check many ace-x on the river, so I think their checking range there, in general, is just going to be too much king high and weak pairs, and that player's probably going to overfold. Recreationals in general overfold those types of spots. So if in doubt, I tend to side with betting. And against the reg there, I think my hand is probably just going to be a give up because they're just going to get sticky even with king high there a lot of the time because they understand it's a wide range formation. Whereas the recreational is just going to see their hand strength and fold it, not really understand the spot. Interesting flop. Monotone, I'm going min bet a lot of the time. Facing this lead, I'm just going to call. Just a lot of bad turns. Ace 5, this is one that I'm going to take to the river, I think. Should I raise here? I think raise folding queen jack here makes sense. Just folding out random merges from like 8s with a spade. And river becomes kind of grim. I think I'm going to go something like third pot. Gets a bit thin now. I'm going to bet ace 5 on the river. It gets a bit thin. But with top 2, I think we can value bet because we can get called by like other queen x. Like he might have king queen off with the king of spades, which he's going to call with. He might have some jack 9, some queen 9. So I think just going for thin value there against that player. And if they do jam, then I think we could just fold because they're going to probably have too many nutted hands. It's 2.1x, but I think we'll still fold 7 deuce off. If I don't fold that, I'm calling everything, which against a small size, I would against weaker players, but not against a decent reg. Just not going to get to realise my equity post flop as easily as I would against a recreational who's going to just check fold too often, play 2 face up. We get cold caller here, player playing 21, 13, 6, so I imagine their range is going to be quite snug. I am going to start with a bet here of ace queen with 2 overs. It is dicey, but the 3 and the 2 are just such dry cards. Like a board like Jack 7-6, I would check because the opener is going to have like more suit connectors and sets in their range on a board like that. Whereas on Jack 3 deuce, there's just a lot of weak hands there. And with a hand like ace queen off, I've got 2 overs to the board, and I can make 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s fold on later streets. Would obviously prefer diamond. I've got better combos to do it with, but I think it's still going to be fine. Ace queen, some 3 betting, but mainly calling in these positions. Big bets, I think we fold. Small bets, I think we call. Would check raise, like ace 10 off with the ace of spades. I think this one is just going to be a call though. I think we're checking this combo again. interesting. I think with 2 overs and a gutter to the biggest straight, I'd have to call for this price. But we are just basically folding. Yeah. Interesting spot there. I'm tempted just to rip it in, just because they don't really have Queen 10. But I'm not really repping Queen 10 for that line either, so could argue just to fold the turn, but getting that price, I think it's going to be fine when they could be kind of betting thin with some weak hands. I could be winning. Fives against this big 3-bet, I would call low frequency, and I'm folding this time. Yeah, so bit of a tricky one there. With ace queen out, best to play it. Could just probe the turn, but I think I'm just going to prefer other hands to probe the turn with there, like flush draws and then king queen. Ace queen has some amount of showdown. Ace deuce against the big c-bet, we're just going to call. Do quite like this one as a raise though, because we get called by worse draws. I think just call again here. I think with some combo draws now, I might put some raise in, like ace-8 of spades, jack-8 of spades, things like that. I think they make for decent raises at this stack depth. We are ahead of like queen jack, jack 10 stuff here as well. We have a fold now, but it's interesting that they bet again. Expect them to check back this river a lot, but my hand I think is just an easy fold. Pretty bad run of cards. Ace king suited. Doing a lot of checking out of position, particularly against a decent reg. Flop the nuts here on table 1. Definitely check raising here on a flush draw board when I can find plenty of bluffs from like queen 9 of diamonds and stuff like that. Gonna go this size. Ace king, I think we're just going to go for 2 streets now, 3/4. Dream turn. Just going to see how many tables this player's playing, whether I want to customize my bet size at all. 3 tabling, so I think I'm just going to go with default 3/4 here, which sets up a decent river shove. And I would shove pretty much any river, unless it's specifically the ace of diamonds, because then all of the flush draws and full houses are now beating me. But even on a flush river, I still get called by sets and 2 pair. Start small, range bet, table 1. Table 2, 3-bet against a fish, and now I'm going half on this board. Table 1, don't really see any value in checking against this player, so I'm just going to bet again to go 3/4. Table 2, just going to go half again to check river. They do have some bigger pairs in their range, but my hand still wants to bet to fold out like just random floats from ace, jack, king, queen, stuff like that. River now, I'm going to polarize table 1. I think their calling range is going to be queen x and queen x only. So I'm going to go 2x, get greedy. If they jam, it's grim, but I have to call when I'm beating queen 4, when I'm beating the 1 combo of 5s. And if they have queen jack, they have queen jack. And just the odd time they might find a bluff with, I don't know, jack 4 suited. Jack 4 of spades they might find a bluff with. I mean, it's very, very unlikely, but they might. But that river, I think they're going to be somewhat inelastic, and they're going to fold it. Because I want to bet reasonably big there. Like going 3/4, I think I'm leaving money on the table. Like I'm talking kind of exploitably now against that player, but I think, yeah, I just want to target their queen x hands basically. Call 4-bet, big call 4-bet, I'll fold ace-5 suited. No, obviously folding now. See what these players have. I don't imagine a big blind's ever folding once they 4-bet that size. And they look somewhat recreational. Playing 39-14-0 over 50 hands. They're tanking. Might be some jacks, some ace-queen. I doubt they fold when they tank. Oh, they did. Would it be a nice flop for me? Rolled really high off screen, so queen jack off I think gets in there, low frequency. We get cold caller, 1 tabler, no data. Yeah, I'm going to bet here. I block ace queen suited, I block ace jack suited, and this range is going to be pretty wide with a lot of pocket pairs. So I'm going to start small and then barrel quite a lot on the turn. I'm going to check this turn. Interesting lead. Do they ever have ace king? I don't believe this. I'm raising. Jacks, I will start with a check. This hand really wants to play 2 streets, so I could go pot and then pot shove. But I think going check raise is okay as well. And go this size and then shove turn, I think. Snap all in, we're probably not doing very well here, but I can't fold once I've done this with this start spot ratio, and it could be like 9s, 10s, 7-6, 4-5, stuff like that. So we're all in. 8-7. We lose both, but quite like the way I play my hand there. I think I'll play it a similar way against a reg as well. I think jacks is just going to want to be getting money in quickly there. Yeah, the queen jack worked well. This lie, I just think there's just too much nonsense going on this range, and they don't really have that many strong hands. Just feels a little bit mergy, and there's just random stuff going on from these recreational players, and kind of a bet sizing tell as well there. Like they're not really just betting that size with like ace king or a flush. Uh, 10-9 now we can check when we hit a pair, and river I'll value bet if check 2. It's debatable whether my hand's worth 3/4. So spot where I exploitatively want to carve out a different size. This player I think is somewhat reggy, so I think I'm just going to go 3/4. Like having 10-9's okay here because I block like 10s, which beats me. But the 10 kicker then on the flip side of that, I think opponents should value bet a 9 or better on the river. So I think I'm good at, and then on that river, I don't think they're going for check raises of like ace X or flushes. I think they're probably betting the turn or river with those hands, so therefore on the river I think they're left with weak pairs and give ups and king highs. Here three-way, doing a lot of checking, and think my hand's going to want to check as well. Interesting turn. I'm going to bet small here. I think I'm good a lot of the time here. I think I'm winning, but just folding out random stuff like Queen Jack is going to be good. And I can get called by like Ace Queen, Ace Jack as well. So it's kind of like a thin mergy value bet there of Ace King. And because I'm checking like my range in that spot a lot on the flop, like I am uncapped. I'm still going to bet small on the turn with like multi-way betting small is the thing as far as I'm aware. So pretty happy with that one. Here, small blind limp calling range is going to connect pretty well this board, but I think this hand overcard backdoor flush draw is still going to want to bet. And continue on a diamond, a jack, a queen, an ace. Ace-8 folding in these positions. Gonna 3-bet 10-8 this time. Slightly out of line, but just trying to get in a few more hands and play pots against recreationals. We'll start small on that board. Pretty good for my range, really. Turn, gonna probably have to end up tripling this one. Would expect opponent to fast play turn now and shove all their 2-pair plus on such a dynamic turn. So therefore I will bluff brick rivers because their calling range here is probably going to be too draw heavy. So like my turn barrel, I do have equity, but I block folding ranges from like 8s, 10s. And now on the heart river I think I give up. I think now opponent's going to be left with a lot of flushes and king X. And my hand just sucks as a bluff, I think. Yeah, a hand like that's annoying. A hand like that is annoying. But I don't know whether that's the type of player who is going to overfold like King 10 on the river, or whether they're going to get really sticky. So in a spot like that where I'm not sure what that type of player is, and I have a pretty rank combo to bluff, I don't want to get out of line and to make too many assumptions, because if I'm wrong, then I'm really wrong. And it's going to be a car crash of a bluff. 3-bet 10-9 this time, just a mix. Yeah, so think my thought process and reasoning there is okay. It's a combo that might give up turn on certain turns, but when we pick up equity and our hand makes a reasonable triple on good runouts, I think just keeping that opportunity open by betting again is going to be good. I'm going to size up against this play here on table 2 because they call too wide in 3-bet pots, from what I've seen. I'm calling suited connectors, pure and things like that. I'm going to start small here, 20% on monotone. Queen 8 off, would open against tight players. This player is playing 21 VPIP, so I'll open it. Don't think it quite gets in opening range in these games, reg structure, but when I open 2.5x, it does allow me to open slightly wider, and then if I'm playing against players who are folding too much, which this player looks like they are, then it becomes a profitable open. And if they're folding too much, then they're probably not 3-betting enough either, so therefore it definitely becomes a profitable open. Again, this spot 3-way, I'm going to be doing a lot of checking. King, Queen, flush, probably checking again on the turn when I block calling ranges, i.e. having the king blocker. Facing this, probably just want to call again because I block calling ranges. And also blocking like other flushes, like Queen X flushes. So if I had King 5 of hearts, I'm more likely to raise, so I can block like the Queen Jack, Queen 10 of hearts. And here I think I just want to, I think I'm going to be polarised here, so I'm going to overbet. Cold 4 with queens. Bluffs here are going to come from like Ace Queen off, Ace Jack off a heart. So in these positions, I don't think we fold queens. I don't love it, but they have all. They'll shove Ace King pure, and therefore once we've got the dead money and put this much in, 100 bigs, we don't fold queens. They could also have jacks. In tighter formations, I think we possibly can fold queens. It's not great when this player shoves though, but I think we still have to call queens. Yeah, we are going to run into it sometimes, but yeah, it's just a caller. We lose. Like some players there who never shove jacks, we can fold. Like players who cold call, essentially. I think we can start folding queens because they'll never have jacks. So as soon as they never have jacks, then into range of kings, aces and ace king, I think it becomes slightly closer, but because there's 16 combos of ace king, I still think we call when we've got those pot odds. Now we'll defend 10-line off against this recreational. Ace queen start half on this board. We'll call 1 with 10-9. Not the combo to check raise with. May check raise now, depending on size. Yeah, check raising it's half. Just a 2 mergey size. Nice. Just against recreational players, they do telegraph their hand strength too much. My hand makes for a reasonable check raise anyway. And then probably would bluff river on most rivers, because if it's a non-club then we can get folds from clubs. If it's a club then we can get fold from King X. So I think it's just one of those spots in combos that's going to almost pure bluff the river. Particularly like that player type as well on that river, that turn card, which looks dynamic. They're probably going to fast play their 2-pair plus. Half pot on these low pot paired boards. This one's going to get in there. Interesting turn. I think I still want to bet. Ace queen off folding these positions, not cold 4 betting. Ace queen suited would. Got the aces. We are deep here, so this could get quite interesting. 3 bet to this size. No love. Ace queen, just quite a lot of bad run out, so I think we're just going to check call. Easy call again against this size. And we'll call good rivers. Yeah, calling on that river. Opponents should still be value betting king queen here. Whether they do or not is another matter. Ace on the turn is just too mergy. Ace jack suited, mainly calling in these positions. Just because we don't get to fold up better. In tighter formations like early position against middle position, we get to 4 bet more with this because we fold out ace queen off. Whereas here we want to keep in opponents like ace 10 off. Think we just call here. Calling again, and this combo on the river will be pretty grim. Okay. That's not a good give up from opponent. Really, that's really not a good give up. I'm going to sit out and talk about that. That should be a bluff on the river. So, I'll just play this king 5 suited hand. I'm going to raise this combo, I think, backdoor flush draw. And barreling turn, sizing geometrically here. Something like this looks fine. River on bricks, we probably have to bluff this unblocking spades. I'm just checking down and losing to like ace 8 of spades, going to be horrendous. Yeah. Right, this 10-9. Firstly, their turn barrel, I think it's probably going to work well against population, but it's just a terrible combo. Blocking Jack 10, King 10, Queen 9 suited, Queen 10 suited, like all these possible hands I have, and not really having any relevant blockers to like top of my range. So you're just going to favour, and it's also a spot where you just have a lot of King Jack offsuit. So you just have far too many bluffs if you're choosing this as well. So you just want to favour stuff with equity and better blockers, like King Jack, like the Jack 10 stuff. Then river, I think they have a bluff, because I don't have king jack once I call the turn. Ace queen suited I do have, but that's obviously not all of my range. I'm 4-betting pre with ace queen off, 4-betting pre with queens. And they block me improving to ace 10 suited, particularly when they have the 10 of spades. I only have one combo. I have ace 10 of clubs and that's it. So I'm just therefore going to be left with a lot of like ace 8 suited, ace 9 suited, ace jack, maybe some 5-4, well they beat 5-4 suited, but maybe some king queen that gets sticky on the turn, which I think probably calls at least sometimes. So therefore I think they want to bluff this on the river, because they're going to at least make a hand like this indifferent, and I probably would fold, because it's a spot where this player type probably isn't finding enough bluffs. I think my hand's going to be a good call against, aggressive good regs, because they should find enough bluffs in this spot from king 9 suited, and they would bluff the 10-9, the 10 jack, the king 10 that gets this far. So I think my hand would call against them, whereas against certain player types in this pool, I think I would fold it. But anyway, that's irrelevant to this opponent's play. When you block the turn and river pairs, but you don't have any showdown or much showdown, those hands are favoured to bluff with, because you block opponents' cooldown range, i.e. them improving to 2 pair. So say for example, on a certain board you see bet the flop and then you turn bottom pair, you're going to fire through with that hand a lot, because you block opponent calling cooldowns from improving to 2 pair on the turn. And when you turn bottom pair you don't have much showdown. So I think opponent played the turn and river pretty badly there. 9-8 here, I will start small. Ace 10 off will open, but this kind of dynamic's not ideal with some recreationals here, because they're just going to call too much. But because the blinds were recreationals as well, I think it's just about okay, because they're not going to kind of exploit that spot enough by squeezing like a reg would to go heads up against the recreational. But ace 10 off, as soon as you're in that spot where you're going to be going multi-way a lot, or you're going to get, it's a spot where a recreational is going to call in position and then a reg's going to squeeze behind, that 0 EV hand immediately becomes minus EV. Aces going to 12 bigs here. And you're going to play a few more hands and then call it a session to try and keep these to around 45 minutes to an hour. There's a few interesting hands that hopefully were of use to you guys. Like I'm aiming my kind of play and explain videos and my more analytical live streams just towards low stakes guys who are looking to progress. That's kind of where I feel I can offer value. Oh, misclick there on table 1. 6-5, I think I want to bet this just because there's just a huge amount of random overcards in this range. Queen Jack will check and call river. 6-5 will check and call most rivers. I think even that one I'm going to call, because against pot there it's grim. I think against pot I can fold. The pot size from these players is going to be too strong. Like I would call against smaller sizes just because I think this player is going to have too many like just king jack offsuit stuff, but against pot I am going to fold it. I don't need to get quite as sticky there. And the queen jack I'd check back. That player would check the river there with too many king X hands still and not value bet thin enough, and therefore when I have the queen I block the thin calling range essentially. So I think therefore they're just going to either have a king that they didn't value bet, or they're just going to have a hand that's going to fold, like a smaller pair. So therefore I don't think there's any value in betting and reopening the action. Ace 4 suited here can do anything. I am going to call this time. Okay, it's a small 3-bet, it's okay. Bigger 3-bets I don't think we are calling. Interesting flop. think just call. Just because the reverse implied odds of the ace and losing to bigger 2-pair or straights. So I think raising like 4-5 of hearts is better, because not only are our 2-pair outs cleaner, but we still get value from, like, they're not action killing cards. Whereas here, on this, we're not going to be able to stack off king queen, whereas on a 5 we could. Easy call here. And gonna hate facing a big river bet, but I don't think our hand can fold. Okay, so when they polarize, I think I can fold my hand. Like, this is just going to be underbluffed by this player type massively. So when they polarize like this, I'm going to probably prefer ace queen, because I think they're repping straights a lot here. So this is going to look like a ridiculous fold, but I think it's going to be good against this size. Just like, is this player finding enough bluffs from like the Jack 10, Queen 10, Jacks, Queens? I don't think so. So I'm going to fold. And call ace king, I think. Fold that, call ace king, which I have in my range enough. Yeah, really interesting one. But in general, like, just a huge shove there from that player is going to be value. And I don't have value domination in my hand. They're not using that size of like king 10. It's just going to probably be... I don't think they even use it with ace king. They might use it with ace king, but it's going to be sets and straights. And just don't think that player's capable of finding enough bluffs with hands that should be bluffing, like, because what we saw from like the 10-9 hand is that type of player type where they don't bluff hands that make for good combos. They just take the passive option and check them. So if he had jacks, queens, 10 jack, queen 10, he's probably just checking because he thinks he has showdown. So yeah, I think it's a good fold. Like, against an aggressive red there, I just have to call my hand, because they will find bluffs from those hands I mentioned, and also just some random undercards. Just because my range looks like I've got a lot of like ace, jack, ace, queen. So they're going to be getting those hands to fold. And I think I will end the video on that hand. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you found this somewhat useful. If you're not following me, then please do follow, like, subscribe my channels. Streaming on Twitch a few times a week, videos on YouTube, Instagram posts about my 1,100,000 challenge. So you can see my updates on that. I've got a free Discord server which you can join as well, just to stay up to date with everything I'm doing. And yeah, I'll do another Play and Explain at some point. If you've got any feedback or suggestions, then please do comment. And you'll find the link in the description for the podcast I did with sifiasco, pkrELMO on YouTube, which I think is a really valuable tool for guys trying to progress through the low stakes. A lot of good information, things we discussed, advice for you guys of how to kind of streamline your learning process and your progression. But for today, guys, that's it for this one, and I'll see you next time.